And that's normally done in impact. So there's this kind of curse of knowledge where somebody says, oh yeah, I programmed this, and all the programmers would be going, oh my God, that's great. And non-programming people are going, oh, okay, so you wrote some code. Isn't that like writing a paper? I mean, what's the big deal? So I think we need to be cognizant, and we all need practice. I'm bad at this too, of saying, I did this that had this impact. I did this, which I believe it's either the impact I had or the impact I'm trying to have or the impact this will have in the future. I notice a lot of us have this curse of knowledge where we assume everybody understands because they said, I did this, that everybody goes, oh yeah, I see the value of that, or and I understand how hard that is.
Part of what we do, part of what we're doing is governance. Governance is not for everybody. And part of that skill set needs to be articulating what you did and demonstrating some leadership skills. So it can't just be technical contributions. You have to be able to communicate why what you did was valuable. So I think, and that will come with time. You'll just learn how to do that. You might be super skilled, technically, but until you can learn to communicate that, then I think receiving those lower rankings should be a positive pressure to be able to get better at that skill.
Well, as long as they understand that. The person in our group really didn't understand. He's like, I don't understand why you're not seeing my value. And we're all going, well, what we heard is I did a couple things. And, so as long as a person learns by understanding, I think that's important.
Part of that understanding is the feedback that we give once we hear the contribution, and how, as an individual, you may weigh their contribution to another contribution. Not easy, because you want to be thoughtful. You don't want to put emotion in the issue. You just want to say, I weigh this more than this, and here's why. But maybe they're not getting that feedback, and hence why they don't know. So it's up to us to be open and think critically. Jason.
I'll say this super fast about what Eric was talking about. Eric is spot on. People don't know how to do this, and Eric was really good at training that person on how to do it. And so what Eric is producing there is super valuable. The point I have is going to come out really aggressive and nasty because I've only got about 30 seconds to say it. People need to start valuing people who are producing stuff. If you're not producing stuff, you're not. And if you are, you are. But if you're not producing stuff, it doesn't make any sense to tell somebody who is how they should be doing their job. If you can't do their job, empower those people who are doing their job. Don't tear them down. I can't do Gregory's job, so I'm not going to tell him how to do it. I can't do James's job, so I'm not going to tell him to do it. I sure as hell can't do Dan's job. I'm just going to thank Dan for doing it and work as much as possible in concert with him in the direction of what I want. That's all.
Well said, Jason.
Yeah, that was powerful. All right, I'm gonna walk Matt through the process. Matt's gonna do the honors again of our breakout room. So Matt, if you can make sure we have 5 to 6 people, and then create the room.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk out loud. Josh and I are going to have a little dialogue here because I'm going to have some questions. So, Josh, given the number that I see, so I can select. Okay, so now there's enough. So there's 5 participants per room, and 6 to 7. So I'm going to select 5, right? And I will just join the next room, and I'll be the 6th in one of those rooms.
Yes. Yep.
Understood.
So
okay.
So when you have 5 selected, then go ahead and create the room, and you'll have a pop-up there.
Okay, here I go, and then I'll have a pop-up, and now I need to set the time.
And in that pop-up, and there should be a gear in the bottom left.
Yep.
And so let's set the time to 45 minutes.
So auto close breakout room after 45 minutes.
Understood. And automatically add the participants to the room.
Automatically move all assigned participants to their breakout rooms. Okay. And deselect the other one. Okay.
And then a 60-second delay when the room closes.
Okay.
And I think that's it. Any other settings? I think those are the main ones.
And so I'm just going to walk through one more time before I hit enter. So automatically move all assigned participants into breakout rooms, auto close after 45 minutes, 60-second countdown timer, allow participants to return to the main session at any time.
No, I don't think that's necessary.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
A showing
I'll take
timer. Do you show the timer to the room?
Yeah,
I don't.
it should show. Yeah.
Okay. I'm ready to open all rooms, I think.
Go ahead. Thank you, Matt, very much.
Here we go.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you all.
Hey,
Hello,
everybody.
gentlemen.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Just let you all know I'm recording and plan to share on YouTube and social media. Would anybody like to kick it off, or lead and host / moderate, or share your contributions first?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and start us?
Okay, that sounds good. I'll start. We all know how it works, I believe, so I'll start by sharing my presentation, and then I'll do it in probably about 4 minutes or so, and feel free to ask any questions or anything like that. I'll try to keep it short. So here's what I'm doing to help Fractally and Fractal governance around the world. So this week I participated in 3 out of the 4 meetings that Joshua hosted. He's hosting these meetings every weekday at 18 UTC. Encourage everybody to join. I know I saw Marco there at several, and then Daniel at one of them as well. So these are really great events, and we're having lots of great conversations. I've also been talking with Joshua about distribution strategies. He started posting the videos, which is great, and also trying to just make these a really helpful resource where people can watch videos and so forth. So participate in 3 of those. I hosted the Eden Fractal meeting number 16. There was 13 or 14 participants this week, and we had a lot of great discussions for 3.5 hours recorded, much longer as well afterwards, talking a lot about interim consensus processes, which I'll talk about a bit more. As always, I uploaded the video on edenfractal.com/videos, where you can see all the videos from Eden Fractal events. And then also this week, I've been working quite a lot on an Eden roadmap, which it kind of brings fractal governance, like the Fractal white paper and Eden Fractal into the core of Eden roadmap in many different ways, with lots of different initiatives. So I made some cool art, and then also I wrote some introductory writing, and then an outline, so forth. This is still in progress. I'm aiming to share like a full version and publish it this week, but there's lots of different initiatives that are very related to fractal governance and aiming to help empower the EOS community with Fractally, and then a lot of things that I think can be helpful for all sorts of fractals as well once they're built, some unique kind of tools. I also, last week or 2 weeks ago, I made a proposal for Eden Votes. So this is a proposal to have an interim consensus process whereby we make a new token called votes, and then people can use their votes to vote on different community decisions rather than just having a council of 12 people. So I did this a couple weeks ago, but I've been participating a lot in discussions and refining this. I'm working on kind of a version 2 of it. And so this week I shared a lot of stuff behind the scenes, but then also some messages in Discord just to help people, understand the proposal and try to make it better and answer questions and try to refine it and so forth. So there's lots there. It's pretty small right now, so you probably can't read it, but if anybody wants to read, they can pause it or check out in the Eden Discord for much more details. I also had a conversation with Vlad Ramsav, who's a developer in EOS, does great work, and he works with Eden Fractal. So I show this because he built a cool AI art tool. I've been playing around a lot with AI art tools, and they're really cool. But we're working a lot on technical developments for Fractally on EOS. So we had a long conversation about that this week. And then I also participated in the Eden Chief Delegate call this week, where I talk on basically all these meetings. I'm always talking about Fractally and Fractal governance and Eden Fractal, promoting it to the EOS community. Also had a long Eden town hall for several hours with several engaged community members, talking a lot about Fractal governance, as well as the Helios Twitter spaces as well, where we also talk about Eden Fractal and so forth. I also made a post this week about EOS Independence Day and encourage people to follow Eden creators. It's not directly related to Fractally, but it's pretty related because I'm talking about building independence and pioneer cooperation, empowering communities. And I'm basically aiming to like promote these concepts of fractally to the EOS community. I also put together the Eden Fractal and the Eden Creators logo here. Got some decent engagement with over 50 likes as well and a bunch of impressions. And then, yeah, basically Eden Fractal, Eden Creators, I mean, help everyone cooperate fractally. So I made that post. You can read the blog post here if you're interested in checking out. Also made the artwork and then also posted it on Bywire as well to help spread and so forth. Lastly, I made some refinements. I was speaking with some friends about Fractally and I invited them to join. And so I made some refinements to help them spread some good links where they can learn more. So edencreators.com/genesisfractal. It's still kind of in early draft stages, but you can check out here like a brief description with some brief links and so forth that I sent in addition to fractally.com and genesisfractal.com. And I made similar refinements to edencreators.com/edenfractal, where people can learn more about that. Pretty small refinements, but good things that made it cleaner. And then lastly, I also put up some updates to the event page on Eden Creators, where it's still in works in progress too, but it has all the events that Joshua was hosting as well at 18 UTC and every weekday. So that's that, and happy to answer any questions and hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
That's quite a list of accomplishments, I gotta say.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. Appreciate it. Would anybody like to go next?
I'll go.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so what I did this week was I'm in hot pursuit of $109 million worth of funding to fund 3 companies that are going to build on top of the Fractally chain. That's it in a nutshell. Now, in order to do that, we have a venture capital company called King's Counsel and Trust that has $2.5 billion ready to hand out to various companies that can justify it. And they've got a questionnaire with 350 questions on it. And so I led a team of 6 guys who had 2 weeks to put together answers to those 250 questions in order to get qualified for the next round. And we did it. We got it in on time and succeeded. So, you know, in terms of just the raw horsepower or work of 6 guys cranking out answers to 350 questions and putting those documents, posting them for people to use, that was the work we did. Now, what was it good for? Well, the 3 companies that we have, one is called Quintric, and it has gold-backed digital currency, and we're planning to put Quintric, right now it runs on BitShares, but we're going to put it so that your Quint tokens, which are good for, you know, for US gold minted coins that are backed by that, and you know, we put those up, and so that was one thing, is that we're going to offer those quints on the Fractally network whenever it's ready. Second thing is Carrot Swap. That's an app that you put your credit card number in, and then when you go shopping at any one of 400,000 big box stores or chain restaurants or whatever, then they give discounts, and those discounts come back to you as gold quint tokens. So this, I think, will bring in millions of new users to the blockchain, to cryptocurrency, from people who otherwise wouldn't want to invest in cryptocurrencies. But if they get it handed to them from just going out with their everyday, weekly, monthly spending, then, you know, that's going to get a lot of people involved. And when they come in, they're going to see the Fractally token as one of the featured tokens that we offer. We allow people to trade for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a few others, BitShares and EOS and BIOS and Fractally. So that means that we'll be driving a lot of business into the Fractally community. The third project is Sovereign Sky. That is our most expensive project. That will be putting 4 space telescopes in orbit and allowing people to access, anybody can access those space telescope on a competitive bid basis and use them to point and look at anything they want. Each telescope is about half the size of the Hubble, just to give you the scope. So they're a little bit smaller, but still much better than any amateur astronomer has. And each of those telescopes will carry 4 nodes on it that can run blockchains. I'm offering one of those nodes to host a Fractally node in space. That'll allow people to specify that node for their smart contract, and therefore it executes in international space where you are maybe not as regulated. A lot of guys are talking about worrying about what the government regulations are. Well, what happens if you can have your function, whatever it is, execute in international space? I think that gives us a certain layer of insulation that will take some work to prove, but that's what we're offering. So that's all the projects I worked on this week. We do have the number 3 rated team, ƒractal group that meets periodically, and that group is there to figure out what are things you can do with a fractally noded space. So that's it. Last week I ranked 6.
I do have one question. Do
Sure.
those telescopes have a laser defense system like the Star Wars?
Well, I don't know. We still have to design them, but I think that would be great.
That's beautiful. It's you're bringing in recreation or intelligence from there, plus the blockchain.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
One thing that's interesting about what they can do is 2 of them orbiting on opposite sides of the planet have a stereo baseline equal to over 8,000 miles, which means that we can take stereo pictures with them. And that means that we'll be able to pick up moving asteroids and things that are close to us in space and estimate their range to them.
From following you since Stephen, I wouldn't expect anything less. Again, I really want to check out that group.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and go next then?
Sure. I write briefings, and that's a weekly newsletter that's been going on since it was called US Weekly. That first publication of that newsletter begins with the power up, and before B1 even decided to leave. So we have the history of the ENF, Enon ƒractally. Within the briefings newsletter are essentially 3 briefings. Within the weekly newsletter, there's essentially 3 briefings. The first one comprises 6 of the sections, which is mostly about EOS and the ecosystem, because we have working groups and coalition and stuff. But anything that really stands out that may connect. The second one is really Enon, and the last one is ƒractally. Since it's a weekly newsletter and they're the most important links from the week, you could read in succession to get a history of ƒractally, which I'm putting together on the website. And then you could further go back into Enon and see how ƒractally came into being. From that will also be project-specific briefings and influencer-specific briefings. I'm part of the EOS Translation Foundation team that has been around the second longest running team, so behind the ƒractally team. One of our members started a ƒractal called Alien Worlds. I attend 4 ƒractals each week. 2 of them are really getting started, which is Alien Worlds and BitShares, and both of them now are focusing on NFTs. And both of them look to do cross-chain things like Alien Worlds with its NFTs from Wax. I'm talking about EOS. BitShares as an exchange to exchange ƒractal tokens. I've also been attending, as Dan had said, meetings run by Joshua Seymour discussing the white paper and building next generation TAOs. And pretty much most of my online discussions are about ƒractally more so than EOS. If not, I bring it up in discussion as part of the ecosystem. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Daniel, because if he wants, or whoever wants, we've been sort of having a discussion that we've been missing out on.
Thanks, Mackenbird and Joy. Nice meeting you again, Stan. You got quite a project there, and thank you, Thomas. I'm looking forward to meet you. This is the first time we're meeting. For those who know me, what I will talk to you about is what I've done for Genesis Fractally the past 2 weeks. Because last Saturday I was not available. Once I've described to you what I've done, I will at the same time share my screen. If you have any further questions, I will be glad to answer. Does that sound good, like a plan? All right, so let me share screen. If I'm not sure, I think it's you, Dancing Joy, who is the host. If you are, or whoever is, if you can allow me to share my screen.
I'm not the host, and unfortunately, I don't think that any of the hosts or co-hosts are in this room right now. I think it's Matt and Joshua and Gregory.
Okay.
Unless we reach out outside, then we won't be able to do it.
No sweat, no sweat. Dancing Joy, because we were in the small group, the previous round one. If you still have the 3 links that I placed in the chat, so that I don't get distracted by sending chat and trying to explain what I'm about to say, not to waste time. Would you mind doing this for me, please?
Yes, I believe that I
Thanks.
have the message that you wrote in the
Thanks.
chat, and I'll find that and post in the chat in a
Thanks.
moment. You're welcome.
Thanks. Okay, so my name is Danielle, and for not confusing Dan Larimer with Dancing Joy, you can see my hashtag is Dan1AM. So if you refer to Dan1AM, then I know you're referring to me. Or you can just call me Daniel Gauthier. I'm a French-speaking user on the internet, living in Montreal. I was introduced to this blockchain Genesis group by Pascal. For those who know Pascal, we're neighbors. We live about 10 minutes, 5 minutes walking, 10 minutes walking between each and everyone's house. So I started a community more than 10 years ago named Yoga Tattoo. And in the chat room, you will see there are 3 links. And 2 weeks ago, I was active in Genesis Fractally, except that I participated in the Thursday group with Joshua, and I was unable to connect to the Tuesday group last week because I didn't have the Zoom URL. So I failed miserably in attempting to learn more because I consider myself as a newbie. My contribution in this yoga website, I'm a yoga teacher. I have about less than 12,000 members following my blogs, the video I do, the teaching or sharing space on this yoga web space in French, mostly international because it reaches 55 French communities on the RSS field and Google Analytics and the AdSense and so on. I am starting to build a 3rd version of this website, which already has a domain name that I purchased called Satoshi.yoga. So it's a website, and right now it's just a splash screen. This new version will be using this new Web3 government system named the blockchain, specifically Fractally Genesis community thinking, so that by 2025, I will take a step back and the community, my wish is to give back to the community, my clients, my partners, my competitors, my friends, whoever has helped me for the past 12 years, 12, 13 years to make a living out of this yoga website, to take over the reign and use the blockchain system to vote and commonly dictate the future of this Satoshi.yoga website and community, so that this yoga website can continue to help others, because the purpose of this yoga website is to bring back some yoga affectionate people who feel alone and put them in touch with experienced yoga teacher and experienced yoga teacher who are looking for new students. So in short, this is what my project is. And this webpage that you look at is the first bilingual page, which was translated from French to English, letting know that in October, I will announce that today is a very unique day because the website in French is translated in English, and the building of this new Satoshi Yoga website is starting. I'm investing a lot of time and money for this, and that concludes my my presentation. You also have a splash screen that shows in big the picture of this Fractally announcement. I'm done. I hope I made myself clear. Sometimes I'm afraid people don't understand, so thank you. If you have any questions, feel free.
Okay, Thomas.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Stan. Let me get the chat here. I'm going to post my contributions in the chat. So this week, I'm a Fractally in Orbit team member, along with Stan. I have a blog on Hive, and I write articles there regularly. So this week, I wrote 2 articles, one being the BitShares Weekly Report, which is sponsored by the BitShares Fractal team, so we're promoting the Fractally project, targeting the BitShares community. And it's always well received. I get DMs from developers, and the big developers are upvoting my articles and promoting it and getting the word on Fractally out. So this week, we added a caveat that in the weekly report that we're going to have educational services for the first 15 minutes of our BitShares team meeting. So we invite anyone to, that would read these BitShares reports. So like, I'm targeting that community, but like anyone can join for the topics are fractal governments and, any technological questions with BitShares and exchange and whatnot. So another article I wrote, which happened to be a timely piece, considering that the CFTC going after a DAO. So it was titled Jurisdictional Agility in the 10th Amendment to Fight Tyrannical Regulators. And pretty much I talk about the 10th Amendment as being a pivotal solution for really securing our project and our goals. And, I put in the example of Quintric in there. Quintric seized on, this 10th Amendment strategy, and they saw, states passing legal tender laws, and, they took their company and they seized upon it, and they started building their company, and now they're protected from, these state laws that are backed up by the 10th Amendment, which separates the federal government and the states' powers. So I thought it was very timely, considering this is the big topic of discussion. I co-hosted, as usual, the weekly team meeting on Tuesday with Pasquale for the BitShares Fractal team. And we'll continue to be doing so and continue to be writing articles. And that would be it for the week.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess what our next step is to go through and post who we think's number 8 and then work our way down.
Sounds good. Although also we have about 20 minutes remaining too. So if anybody has any questions for anybody or comments before then we do have some time for that. Is there anything that anyone would like to ask anybody?
I have a question in regards to voting, because this is so tough, so hard to vote for. Sorry, just a moment. It's so hard to vote because I mean, your guys' contribution, wow. So please don't take it personally if some of you are in 4th and 5th position. But my question is this. Am I allowed to vote for myself? Because I deserve a good pat on my shoulder. This is the first time I feel so great. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give myself a 7 for having done what I did for Fractal Genesis, and at the same time, something for myself. What are the rules? Do I vote for myself or not?
I like to have people be able to vote for themselves so you can see where they rank themselves. I think that's an important piece of information.
Sorry,
if you don't do it for yourself, then you don't know what the persons think of themselves.
Sorry, because I was distracted with the phone coming in that I rejected. So the bell didn't make me listen to, what did you say? Do you favor it or not?
Yes.
I say we should be allowed to vote for ourselves, because how else are we going to ever know what a person thinks of the work they did themselves?
Thanks.
It's an option. It's left open to the community. I favor voting for themselves, just again, keeping that option open. I will say this though, we're too small to meet the requirements of a true fractal. The idea was to have, thousands or whatever more breakout rooms. The idea that it's so hard to vote for people here, it will balance over time, except in small groups, which is why early on I advocated for looking at those who have the highest amount of respect and giving them less for the benefit of growing the community. So keep that in mind. We're not supposed to have just 30 members here or 40 members, hundreds, thousands. So we used to pass around the list of tokens that everybody had, and sometimes you have Fractal team members less. I went by the idea of you're a Fractal team member, you ranked the highest last week, I don't have to rank you the highest this week. But if you didn't rank the highest last week, then I'll rank you the highest because you're actually developing the software. But I guess we could hunt down that list. But yeah, that's the thing. If you look at it, I doubt you would see such a disparity with more members. The other thing is natural to the human condition is those who have the highest level from week to week tend to kind of just go along with the momentum, the inertia. So it's kind of tough to break that as the community begins to accept those people as just in that position. But again, I was not going to bring that up until you mentioned it, Danielle.
I'd like to ask Stan about the recent work that you've been doing. So I think the projects you're doing are awesome long term, and I've heard you just share some updates previously. And you said this week you're working on raising funding. It seems like a lot of funding. If you didn't already, or if you could refresh, could you please share like how much money you're aiming to raise, and then how much have you been working on that a lot, and are you getting close to receiving the funding, do you think?
Well, they're going to announce how much funding everybody gets sometime probably in December. And then we start getting the funding over a period of 10 months at 10% of time. They have $2.5 billion available to give out. And, we went through the first phase and got 2 of our projects in the top tier with a total of 6 projects in the top tier. So we've made it through the first hurdle. That just about guarantees that we get 2 million, but of course that's just a small drop in the bucket. That's enough for us to build and launch the carrot swap application, but not nearly enough to launch the space-based telescope application. then they come along, what we had to do is we had to put down some money. I had to put down 70K worth of my own money, and then they multiply that by 30. So that's where I get the $2 million. But then they come along after that, and some people will get plussed up by additional funds that they have, and I don't know what that'll be, but we had to work really hard to get through the next qualifying rounds, which was to answer this set of 350 due diligence questions, which were all kinds of things about, what is your funding cycle, what is your business plan, what is just incredible questions. Give me. I had to put in a doctor's report stating I'm in good health. I mean, there were just all kinds of stuff we had to do, and we got all that done during the past 2 weeks.
Cool.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, that answers it well. Thank you, Stan, for clarifying. And then also glad to hear that you made a lot of progress as well with it, and I hope it continues to go well for you.
Yeah, well, I'm hopeful. They seem to like us. We'll see if that translates into full funding or partial funding.
And last week you ranked number 6, so that's
Right.
kind of low for all that work. Last week I ranked 3. Dan, what did you rank last week?
I ranked 7 last week, although 2 weeks before that I ranked 4.
And Tom, Daniel?
Last week I think I was level 5, maybe 3 before that. Can't remember. I've been averaging a 4.
Okay. Should we jump into consensus, or does anybody have any thoughts like to share first?
I think it's time to make some sausage.
Let's make some sausage.
All right.
Okay, signal when you're ready.
Okay,
All right,
cool.
3,
Fire.
2,
fire.
1, sausage time. I think we only have 3 so far.
Oops.
Um,
I did I miss something, like, because I voted and placed everybody in one. I must
This
have missed
is-
something here.
This
I'm
is
sorry.
the
I see.
thing that gets,
Oh, okay. I got confused there.
there's
Yeah,
no
we're-
set way to do it, Daniel. This is what we clarified in the beginning, especially for new people. But generally, the custom is to rank for the top level.
Since 3 people voted for me, I'm going to switch my vote to me so that I can go ahead and seal that deal.
Sounds
That was too
good.
good to pass up.
Although you misspelled your name a little bit, Stan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Daniel, it's generally easier if we just go one at a time than doing all 6.
Correct.
Okay, sorry, I missed that, because Marco Meckenborg, when you speak, I have difficulty to hear. I've tried to raise the volume, but I think it's because of the echo. I'm not sure.
It's sometimes, right? I think I got a slow connection. Anyway, we decide here how it is just generally accepted.
All right,
Okay.
so I think we're ready for level 7, right?
Yep. Does everybody have is everybody ready? And does everybody have a name in level 7 to hit the enter button?
Ready to go.
Yep, ready to go.
Are you ready, Daniel? You're muted, I think. Yeah, you're muted.
My question is, I'm a little lost here. Who won this round?
Stan
won.
Stan, eh?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So ready for level 7 and 3, 2, 1, go.
Sausage.
Sausage.
It's level 6.
Okay, cool. Thanks, everyone. I think that's consensus, or yeah, that's 4. Cool. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Okay.
And level 6. Is everybody ready with their level 6 vote? Marco, Thomas, you ready? Or are you thinking? It looks like Thomas is deep in deliberation.
I'm ready.
Okay, cool. 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, me and Tom can discuss, I guess, but we're both coming out of the pictures fractal contributions. I changed it to spice it up, but I was thinking of voting Tom pretty high. I just come in, week out. I have a history, and spent a lot of time in the other fractals and community stuff, which helps coordinate things. Just a lot of time in organization.
Yeah, it's tough. I know Marco, he's always attending a lot of different meetings and stuff. I value that. So I'm
Well, we've got 3 votes for Thomas right now and 2 for Mockingbird. Is that right?
You have the power to change the vote for you, Tom. If not, I'll change it to me and add to the turbulence.
all right. I'll like Stan before. I'll take it while it's there. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Cool. Sounds good. Shall we move on to level 5? Is everybody ready?
Okay.
Ready?
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Now, this one was just because remember, we are in a kind of experiment sort of thing. And it's fun to do that. But I'll change for myself. Just to get it moving.
You're muted
And
right now,
plus,
Daniel.
Thanks,
I
everyone.
really-
Changing myself too, so thank you.
I do believe it's really important to cross language barriers.
So I think Marco changed his vote. He originally voted for Daniel, and then Daniel originally voted for Marco, and then both of them changed their votes. And so now there is.
So now it's on you. Now it's on the people who didn't do that to check it out.
Okay.
Who?
So currently Marco has 3 votes and Daniel has 2 votes. So I suppose
So why did you vote for Daniel?
I'll
then?
give my vote to Marco. I really admire what
easy.
Marco is doing, so I that's fine with me. This is my first ever time in the second round, so I feel very honored, except that I'm still a newbie and gladly passing it on to Marco.
Being a newbie really isn't in the white paper of the book. It's just work done, and there's not many people that could reach the French community. So that's that's an important contribution. I mean, I understand information science and intelligence in a way that most people don't. But there's more people that can do that and can speak to the French within our community because, internet systems or decentralized systems do fall into that realm. So you're unique.
Thanks, I really appreciate it, Marco. Would Dan Sinjoy, would you mind placing the order of us pushing through fractally the results of our decisions? And while I have the microphone, I would like to ask to Stan the following question. Well, first of all, do we still have time?
We still have 6
As
minutes.
soon as we get it posted, we can talk about anything you want.
Okay, I think that I have, I'm missing one of them still, but I'll work on that. And I'll post it in a moment.
So Stan, my question is about, I'm sorry, not Stan. Sorry, Stan. My question to Thomas, because I heard you saying that you're blogging and you're posting, and your posts are being read by the NASA? Is that what I heard?
No, I never said NASA. My post is being heard and well received by BitShares developers, some of the main developers in the BitShares network.
Okay, thanks.
A bit more and Europa, people like that have been very supportive of upvoting my articles and stuff, and that they're main players developing over there.
Thanks.
Okay, I just
Good on the
posted
name.
the names. Please check everybody else to make sure I didn't misspell your name or get anything wrong. And then if so, then we can copy and paste that into the Hive. And thank you, Thomas, for posting that link as well.
Yep.
I'd also like to say too, Daniel, that I really appreciate everything you're doing. I mean, I appreciate what everybody's doing here, but also this was the first time that I really learned about your work. I've been seeing you around, but now seeing what you're doing with the yoga part out, or however you pronounce it, and seeing you in both these rounds, and the fact that it seems like you're quite passionate, excited, and well spoken about Fractally, and you're sharing with this community, like Marco was saying, French speakers and many thousands of people. I'm looking forward to all the different plans that you have. So I really appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to more of it.
I agree. I agreed. First time I heard about it, so I'm going to bookmark your page and learn more about. I'm looking forward to learning more about your project and how you're introducing Fractally to your community.
Oh, I think if I may add, thank you for your comments. If I may add something or carry on with what Gregory was talking about and the various failures that I've experienced. And I think the key word in what I'm doing is, first of all, be patient. It only took me 10 years to become an instant success.
Yep.
And the second thought I have is not to take refusal personally. I wanted to interview, I'm a big podcaster doing video. I wanted to interview them, and Gregory turned me down. Pascal turned me down, and I was feeling hurt, and then figured out that, hey, time will come when I know exactly what to ask, the questions to ask, and the conversation, and know the whereabouts of how and why this whole community is not going to disappear. So eventually I will come back to the community and offering video interviews about the blockchain. But before we run, let's walk.
Sounds great. Well stated, and I'm looking forward to seeing those interviews too. Whenever you do start to do them, that sounds awesome. And I didn't know that you're planning to do that, so thank you very much.
Did you say
I've
before we
seen
run,
3
let's
people
walk?
have posted so far. Do we got the other 2 guys posted?
I posted.
I believe I posted. Let me see.
I posted as well, confirmed.
Yeah, I'm in there. Wait, yeah, I am at the bottom. Or on my screen anyway.
I might have to refresh my screen then. I just want to make sure we all got our posts up.
Did you say let's walk before we run? Before we run, let's walk. I brought this up in the other room. I learned this early in aviation education. And I believe we do that at 5. When it comes to building an aviation economy, they go from third to first world and entirely skip the second world because roads are inaccessible. And the reason why is aviation requires technology. That's a fractal sort of thing when you're building an economy on an island or on a mountaintop or something like that. which is really what blockchain is all about. So if you're trying to build a road across, up a mountain or something like that, and you're trying to walk up that mountain, when you can just take an airplane, that's a big deal. You kind of got to make the leap. So there is precedent for that.
Cool.
20 seconds
Right.
before the countdown. Want to close us out, Dan?
Sounds good. Yeah, I suppose. Well, yeah, thanks everybody for the great meeting. It's great seeing you as always. And I suppose we still have like maybe a minute left too. So if anybody has any other thoughts or anything like that, you can share it fairly quickly.
Okay, I guess I'll hit leave room. See you guys.
See you, Stan. Great seeing you.
All right, take care. Well, it was a pleasure meeting with everyone. It was nice to meet you. I know Marco and Dan Singjoy. It was nice to meet you, Daniel. And, it's a pleasure.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I hope we'll get a chance to talk more, Thomas. I'm sorry I still haven't responded to one of your posts, but your priming fractals post was very inspirational, and then I'm looking forward to reading your new post about jurisdictional agility, and appreciate you also sharing your thoughts during the larger room before as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate all your work. You're really putting it into action. That's why I always value your contributions highly, because you're taking the fractal governance and you're implementing it essentially on Eden. So that's what it's all about,
I actually almost
Thanks.
described Dan Singjoy as a celebrity, as I put comments as far as people who comment on Leap. So just know.
It's funny. I love how Patrick Nova
Thanks.
Crypto says the name Dan.
All right. So welcome back to the round 2 meeting room. Joshua, do you want me to post a link to the round 1 meeting room so we can meet with everyone?
Yeah, I guess let's go back to the main meeting room if everyone is back here, and if anyone wants to say anything before we officially transition.
Josh, we had one thing that I wanted to bring up to this room, and then let's all go back to round 1 room. We had an interesting problem with somebody unable to post their consensus for round 2 because they lack the hive power. And so we kind of scrambled at the last minute to who has some hive power. How do I share hive power? I don't even know what that means. So we figured it out, but that's an interesting problem. We should probably let others know, hey, this can be a thing, and this is how you solve that problem. I don't know what the solution is. I just know we scrambled and somebody fixed it minutes ago.
If somebody cannot post to Hive due to lack of Hive power, post here your Hive names. I'll delegate you some Hive.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Val, thank you. Respect to you for sending me some Hive power and helping me post this section.
That was everything I had. Josh, we can go to the round 1 room if that's what you want us to do.
One thing I wanted to say is that we need to perfect the protocol for the second round so that we can have screen sharing there.
Yeah, I didn't enable it before we went in, which was a mistake on my part. But thank you, Jorge. I did notice that was a mistake today.
Josh, I also wasn't able to put images in the chat. I assume it's going to be solved by the same thing, but if not, I wanted you to know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I did last week. We weren't able to copy and paste. Were you guys able to copy and paste? I didn't have a problem this week.
Yes, thank you for fixing that, Josh. I could copy and paste this week.
I could copy and paste text, but in the first round, I was able to drag an image into the chat. And in the second round, I was not able to drag an image into the chat.
Okay, yeah, it's a separate Zoom account, so I just need to enable that setting.
Okay.
And thank you, Joshua, for being who you are. We really love you very much.
Yeah, we love you too, Jorge. But Matt gets the most props this week.
Yeah, I love you, Matt, too.
All
Thank you,
right.
Jorge.
I think in
We
the
love you,
chat,
Matt.
Gregory has shared the link to the other Zoom meeting. So if you have time and you want to, you can go ahead and hop over there. And otherwise, we'll see you next week.
Well, to be frank, I don't really love you, but I admire you.
See you next week, guys. I can't carry on. Take care.
See you, Danny.
Thank you, Daniel. See you.
It looked like Thomas shared a link, but I didn't see Gregory sharing anything. I'm going to assume that's the right one, the one Thomas shared.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, thanks.
I'm
See
heading
you
over
there.
to round one now, guys. See you on the other side.
See you.
See you.